What is up, my trippy hippies? What is up? It is Tammy coming to you live today from my office for and we are super excited to be here today. I know I was out last week, but sometimes you just need to take a little time. So as you jump on here today, please do me a favor, say hello, tell us where you're watching from, and drop us a grateful fed in the comments. I see Mr. Dennis Casey is watching this morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Um, so again, last week I did take a little bit of time off. The world was a little bit upside down and backwards last week, so I just took a little time. It is so glad to be back with you this Sunday. Like I said last week, I took a much needed break. I took a moment to pause and reflect. Right, a moment to pause and reflect. When the world feels heavy, sometimes you just have to kind of do that. When the energy feels unsettled around you, the best thing you can do is to take a step back, rest, clarify, and then find some. I like to find a moment of just like, and all of that, right? I need to take a step back. I need to center my energy. I can't control what is happening out in the world. What I can control is the way in which I let it affect me and the way in which I react to it. But as you are jumping on here, this is so much more fun with friends. So as you jump on here, if you could please do me a favor and do those few things, I'm going to do something. I have some settings on that's kind of weird, so I'm going to take that off and see if that makes it a little bit better. There's a little filters like touch up my appearance. I was like, yes, please, because I literally on Sundays, I struggle because I want to do my lives, but I also take Sundays to like not like, if I'm going to use shampoo, it's going to be dry shampoo. I'm not going to wash. I'm going to give my hair a break on Sundays. I'm going to just take a moment of not putting makeup on Sundays. So I'd struggle with coming live on Sunday mornings and looking like I just rolled out of bed. But most of the time, just so you know, for being very authentic and real, I just rolled out of the bed. I got up at 9. So that tells you pretty much all you need to know. But again, we have 3 folks watching. And only Dennis has said hi to me this morning. So if you are watching this, again, this is way more fun with friends. I would love for you to take a second just to say hello, say hi, how are you, all the things. We're going to jump right in today. I'm not going to take a little bit of, I'm kind of going to jump in. I've been doing better about preparing my sermons. Thank you, Dennis. I appreciate you. I don't feel very radiant. I feel very lupusly swollen, but I appreciate that and I'll take it. Thank you for the compliment. Hi, Jen. How are you? Thank you for such a good job last night. I heard nothing but great reviews from everybody last night. So as you know, I've been actually these sermons, I've been typing them and I have been keeping them. I have a whole spot for them. So as I prepared today, I kept coming back to something we've already talked about this year, right? The power of one and those small intentional moves that we can make and create to change the world, right? I know that sounds crazy, but I really believe that there are small micro moves, these intentional moves that we can each make that can create a change in the world, right? But that sounds great. But there's layers to this message, as you know, and I try to build off of these things. And today I want to explore through the story of Walt and Roy Disney, 2 brothers who built something that changed the world. So I have been reflecting and thinking, and I get these sermons that bounce around and I kind of journal little notes all week long. And then at the end of the week, before we come in live today, I kind of take all of those little pieces and parts and say, okay, how was Monday's little channeled note that I got, right? Little message I got, little thing I wrote down, related it all to what came into my brain on Thursday and related it all to what came in on the net, that kind of thing. And I try to say, like, are these things connected and are these things all related to what message that I'm supposed to be bringing forth on Sunday? Or is it just all unrelated and these are different sermons? And sometimes they all come together and it all makes sense. Other times it's just gibberish for the journal. It's just nothing. This week, though, something that keeps coming into play is the story of the Disneys. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of go through my sermon. I'm trying to stay succinct and not so have so many ums and ahs and all of that, but still be able to tell the story that I want to tell, or tell the or deliver the message that I'm hoping to deliver. I'm hoping that it makes sense. So Let me ask a question. Okay, so yes or no, did you know that Walt Disney had a brother? Yes or no, did you know that there was another Disney brother other than Walt Disney? Yes or no in the comments. So if you're watching this, just a yes or no. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Yes, thumbs up, you knew that he had a brother. Thumbs down, you didn't know he had a brother. No, didn't know he had a brother, right? Anybody else out there? No, yes or no? Tag a friend in the comments. It would help me out a ton. But Walt has a brother, okay? Walt has a brother. Now, we all know Walt, right? We all know Walt Disney. Walt Disney, he imagined the castles, the kingdoms, the parades, the princesses, the worlds where the magic wasn't just possible, it was inevitable, right? That's what Walt Disney is a spirit animal, I guess you would say. Walt Disney imagined all the things, right? He came up with the princesses and the frogs that turned into princes and all the things and all the imagine, like, I'm a big documentary enthusiast. That's kind of my chosen thing. I love documentaries and learning about things while I'm watching TV. And there is one on Disney Plus called The Imagineers. And I would have loved to have been an Imagineer and work with Disney. And so I had watched this recently, and these little notes have been all over because of watching this. So I said all that to say, if you've got Disney Plus, it's a pretty good watch. It's very much a documentary, but I love learning. So now Walt's the dreamer. He thinks of all the things, right? But as visionary as Walt Disney was, he couldn't have built Disneyland, Disney World, or the empire that we know as Disney today without his brother Roy, who was behind the scenes. Behind Roy was his brother. Was his brother Roy Disney. Roy wasn't the dreamer. He was the doer, right? There's dreamers and there's doers, right? He was the one who crunched the numbers, balanced the budgets, and made sure Walt's castles didn't crumble under the weight of all of Walt's impracticality, right? Roy was the one who made sure that Walt's dreams came true. He was the doer. Walt was the dreamer. Roy was the doer, right? So Roy was just as important to Walt Disney as Walt, but no one's ever heard of Roy, right? No one even knows who Roy is. I mean, I know who Roy is. So here's what I want you to hear today. Walt and Roy couldn't have done it without each other, right? Walt needed Roy's practicality, and Roy needed Walt's imagination, and together they created something extraordinary, right? So Walt Disney, this like crazy eccentric dreamer, and his older brother, I'm pretty positive it's his older brother. His older brother is this very practical businessman, who's got the numbers have to match, but he never tried to extinguish Walt's flame. He just figured out a way to make it happen. Okay. And so together with this dreamer and with this doer, right, they were able to create something extraordinary. And in that relationship, in the story of Walt and Roy Disney, today's sermon was kind of birthed. And, and just like talking about Roy being the doer and Walt being the dreamer, isn't that just true of everything in life? Right? It takes all kinds of people to make the world go round. Right? It takes all kinds to make the world go round. Hi, Missy Shaw down in Florida watching. Thank you so much for tuning in. Tag a friend, y'all. Comments help. If you hit the like button, if you hit the heart button, it helps people find us. If you can share the video out, share the video out. It helps me out. It costs nothing to support me in that way by just hitting the like button, sharing it out, tagging a friend. Today's message is pretty good. We're talking about how the world has been weird and how the energy's been heavy. I took a little time off and reflected. And this week we're talking about Roy and Walt Disney and how it takes all kinds to make the world go round. Okay, it takes dreamers and doers. So in thinking about that dynamic of dreamers and doers and it taking all kinds to make the world go round, I want you to take a moment, if you're watching, whether you're watching this now in the real time on Sunday the 26th at 10:50 in the morning, or you're watching this later on this evening after the Commanders have squashed the Eagles and we're on the way to the Super Bowl, because that's my next step today, is to get off of here, get my order in for the week, and then head home to cook some delicious food up for watching my Commanders whoop up on the Eagles today. But whatever you're doing today, just it costs no time at all to just kind of hit the button and all the things. But I want you to think about today, think about it. In your family, in your jobs, in your communities, there are dreamers and there are doers, right? There are big picture thinkers and there are detail-oriented planners, right? Which one are you? Are you a dreamer? Are you a doer? Are you a big picture thinker? Are you a detail-oriented planner? Which one are you? Which one do you think you are, right? There are people who lead with their hearts and people who lead with their heads, right? There are all kinds. Which kind are you? Are you a Walt Disney? Are you a Roy Disney? Are you a dreamer? Are you a doer? Are you a planner? Are you a big picture thinker? Do you think of the place that the vacation is going to be and then somebody else makes all the details of it? Or are you the one who's like, okay, where are we going? What do I need to do? Tell me what I need to do. Which one are you? Like, which one do you think you fit into? Which category? You a little bit of both? Because I think that not everything's got to be black and white, or one or the other. Some people have a little bit of all of them in them. But for the most part, you kind of have your big picture thinkers, your dreamers, and you have your doers, right? And honestly, the honest to goodness truth of the whole entire situation is, it doesn't matter, because as a society and as a world and as a human race, we need all of them, right? We need all of them. We need the Walt Disneys. We definitely need the Walt Disneys of this world. We definitely need the Roy Disneys of this world. We need the Walts and the Roys, right? We need all of the people to make it work. But here's the challenge, right? We know that we need all of them and we can figure out which category we fit into. But the challenge is that in our world, we too often values one over the other. Right? It's like in the world we live in, everybody thinks that the side that they're on, like the dreamers think you got to be a dreamer, and the doers and the number crunchers sometimes feel you got to be one or the other, right? And I feel like in the world we live in, it often values one thing over the other. And that changes constantly and all of that, but it feels like it's still, we're constantly being told that it's about us versus them, the right way versus the wrong way, or your way versus my way. And this mindset, right, of us versus them, right versus wrong, up versus down, that there is, it creates a division. It divides us. It does not connect us, right? And the truth is, but I always say, this is a big saying of mine. And if you're new here, maybe you haven't heard it yet, but if you've been around for a while, you know what I'm going to say. And the truth is, two things can be true, right? Two things can be true at the same time. And the example I give of this is that, my cousin, Nick Deskins, he was born on Christmas Day, December 25th. And it's his birthday. 100%. It's his birthday. His name was Robert Nicholas, St. Nicholas. That's why his middle name, that's why he's Nick, because he was he was born on Christmas Day. And if you wake up in the morning and on December 25th and you ask any child, what's today? Any child that celebrates, right? What today is, they're going to say it's Christmas. And it's an amazing day because I get presents from and Santa Claus comes, right? And that's 100% true. Like Santa Claus came to their house, they got presents. It's a beautiful day for kids. But if you ask Nick what's so special about today, he might say it's because it's my birthday. It doesn't make his birthday any less true than Christmas, right? It's just two different perspectives. Still a great day. It's a great day for several reasons. But it doesn't make any one of those two statements any less true. That it's Christmas Day and that it's my birthday. Those two things can be mutually true about the same thing. And I don't know if you find it so hard to accept that there's more than one opinion or there's more than one truth about anything. right? We tend to get mired down in the who wants to be more right and who wants to have this ground of like I'm right and you're wrong. But that is where the division and the going away from community comes from. It's the division, which is from fear, not from love, right? And you want to think of things that are going to bring us together. So, the mindset of right versus wrong, them versus us, up versus down, all of that, that creates a mindset of division, not connection. The truth is, two things can be true at the same time. Walt's dreams were essential, but so was Roy's practicality. One wasn't better or more important than the other. They were equally necessary. I'm going to give you an example in my own life. I am definitely a Walt Disney. I am definitely the dreamer, the visionary, the one with big ideas about how the world could be. But I am so incredibly lucky to have people around me, my husband, my sister, my friends, who 100% ground me. They're my Roys, right? They're my Roys. They keep me balanced. They ask me the hard questions. They make sure I'm not flying so high in the clouds that I lose sight of what's on the ground. And that's essential. I don't love it in the moment sometimes. I don't appreciate it when it's happening sometimes, when I've got these big ideas and I'm so excited about them and I'm sharing them and they're starting to like question me and I get really frustrated about it. And if you're one of my Roys out there and you've been in a situation where, you know, I have this big, amazing dream and you're trying to like, how do we execute? How do we Roy your Walt? You know, how do I Roy your Walt? And they're asking all those hard questions and I get frustrated by it. But at the end of the day, they're just trying to make my dream a reality in their own way, right? Perspective. It might feel like they're trying to shoot my idea down or take the air out of my bubble, but their practicality is if I want to make the world a better place, it can't be done through just big ideas alone. There has to be some practicality behind it and some doing and the way to how to do it, right? And, you know, this is what I wrote. And to be honest, it hasn't always been easy for me to see the values in the Roys of the world, right? It hasn't. Hi, Frankie. How are you, darling? Thank you for joining in and dropping us a grateful fed in the comments. As you jump on here, please do so. Please say hi. Tell us where you're watching from. Drop us a grateful fed in the comments. Tag a friend. Share this video out. We're talking today about how the world needs Roys and Walt Disney's, dreamers and doers. And if you are watching this, drop in the comments. Are you a dreamer or are you a doer? Are you a Walt Disney or are you a Roy Disney? So yeah, it hasn't always been easy for me to see the value in the Roys of the world. As a dreamer, it can be frustrating when someone says to me, that's a great idea, but how are you going to make it work? Or have you thought about the details? Of course not. Definitely, I have not. Like, if there's a detail and I'm excited about an idea, there are no details that I have thought about. I'm letting you all know that up front, 100% with my whole chest, that if I have a big idea and it's like a fresh new idea and I'm like talking a mile a minute about it and I'm very like hyper focused. And for those of you that are watching, I feel very safe and secure being a Roy in my space behind the camera. I am very socially in real life awkward. Like I am just like I am now. I overshare. I talk too fast. I talk too much. I'm inappropriate at times. And I beat myself up for it. Every social interaction I have where I have like said something that I'm sure is put my foot in my mouth or overshared or said something that was like, I can't believe she just said that. Trust me, I go home and I relive it all over in my head again. But, you know, I'm a Walt, so another idea comes in and I forget about the craziness and I do something else crazy and it moves on. But when they ask me that, right, I got really frustrated. But the older I get, the more I realize how essential those people are, right? How essential the Roys of the world are. I'm not a Roy. I'm so opposite of a Roy. I'm a Walt. Like I believe it is better to ask forgiveness than permission. I just jump in with both feet. I don't always think things through. And thank God I have been blessed with so many good Roys in my life that have kept me, Roy Disney, you know, like my Roys, right? They keep me grounded. They keep me on the ground. They make sure that I remember what's on the ground. And as I get older, I recognize it, right? It takes all kinds of people to make a family work, to make a business run, and to make a country and community work, right? It takes all kinds of people. And I said all this stuff because if you think about it, right, when we start to see the value in those differences as a community, as a country, as an individual people, when we start to see the value in our differences, something amazing happens, right? When we start to see the value in our differences, something amazing happens. We stop seeing each other as opposites and obstacles, and we start seeing each other as partners. I stop complaining about red busting my bubble, and I start recognizing that without them, I'm not able to even have my next bubble, right? Because I'm still drowning in the past one. The dreamers need the doers, and the doers need the dreamers. The leaders need the listeners, and the listeners need the leaders. The world isn't designed for us all to be the same, and that is a good thing. Right? The world is not designed for us all to be the same, and that is a good thing. Now, here's what I think connects the world we're living in today. Here's how I think this connects to all of that, right? So I took some time off because the energy was weird. I'm like, how do I come back in? How do I stay within integrity and still appreciate differences in the world and recognize all of that? Amanda, I'm so glad you're here. Please go back and watch us from the beginning. I'm hoping that you guys find some beauty in this. I'm hoping, because this is going to be how today's message about opposites and people being different of opinion, and how we come together and connect and not live in a world where it's us versus them. There's a deeper message to this, but there's a way to do it that's not so jarring, right? Okay. I don't talk religion. I say I don't yuck anybody's yum. I don't boo anybody's beautiful. We're going to get serious for a few minutes. Let me go through it. We're going to be polite, respectful, and we are a place where things come together and not push apart, right? The more we yell about something, sometimes the more the louder we speak, sometimes the less our voices are heard. So here's what I'm going to say. So with all I've talked about today, this is where I think this connects to the world we're living in right now. Right now, there's so much division politically, socially, culturally. It feels like everywhere you turn, it's the us versus them mentality. But what if we flip that? Right? I've talked about the beginning about the power of one and going out and making a difference in the world by micro moves and understanding that it takes you connecting with one other person, right? You connecting with one other person and making a difference in that person's world. And some days that person needing to be you. But I want you to think about this, right? Everywhere we turn, it is us versus them. But what if we flipped it? What if instead of focusing on our differences, we started to see how those differences could complement each other? How everything is not all or none. How everything is not right or wrong. How everything is not black or white or left or right. But there's some commonality in every single thing. I'm going to give an example, and I do not want to turn this political. We're not going to. This is an example of how I'm trying to connect the world and to build a bridge and to be a connector, right? You've heard the saying, you get more flies with sugar than you do with vinegar. Well, I've always said you get more flies with sugar than you do with shit. Well, that's not just true in relationships. It's true in life. Kindness, understanding, and collaboration will always take us further than anger, judgment, or the need to be right. I am not saying that your belief system, that the things that we're seeing happening, that those things are not, in my moral opinion, 100% wrong and incomprehensible as far as not being kind to other people, right? But if I approach everything as that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong, I'm never going to be an effective change agent, okay? So what I'm saying is that here's another truth. Sit down with someone who you don't agree with. This is my firm belief. This is where my food mission comes to play with my spiritual heart mission, is that it's hard to argue when your mouth is full. My mom used to say it all the time. We've had a I've grown up 5th generation. My great-grandmother, my grandmother, my aunt, my mom, myself, we have all had small cafe or small food establishments. Some of us have had larger food establishments in this area. And I'm going to tell you, not everyone who's ever sat at one of our tables, not everyone who has ordered from one of our, every person who we have exchanged energy with in the last 50 to 60, actually more than that, 80, 90 years of my family and my female members of my family being involved in feeding the people in this community and other communities, we have not always agreed. But my mom used to say, here's the thing. She's like, it is really hard to argue with your mouth full. And if you can start if you start the process, like an object in motion stays in motion. So you start finding things that you can agree with and you can get along. Things that you can both agree are 100% true. Things that you can't argue about, right? My mom said things you can't argue about are like yeast rolls are delicious. Bread and butter is always good, right? Yes, you can't argue about who wants gravy on their potatoes and the meatloaf, right? People just want it, right? Good morning, y'all. So sharing a meal. That's why I believe so deeply in the power of sharing a meal. We sit down together at a table, reminded of our shared humanity. We're reminded that we all need to eat, that we all crave connection, and that we all want to be seen, heard, and valued. That is a core belief, in my opinion. That's my opinion. This is my channel. That's why it's my opinion, right? But I believe that if you are sitting down with someone sharing a good meal, you can all agree that the yeast rolls are good. You can all agree that mashed potatoes are delightful and they stick to your ribs, right? So as you go out to this week, I want you to leave with this challenge. Think about the people in your life who are different from you. The ones who see the world differently, who approach problems differently, who might even frustrate you because they're not like you. Right? I want you to take this challenge. Instead of seeing those differences as obstacles, try to see them as opportunities. What could you learn from them? I'm going to tell you some of the people who I probably have the most differences with, like the glaring differences with. I've learned things like they are really good at setting boundaries. They are very good at being, and maybe they're narcissists. Maybe they are just buttholes about it. Maybe they're not kind in their boundaries, but you know what? They set a boundary. If you look for the pieces of beauty, you'll find it. What you look for, you see. I mean, just being honest, right? Where your mind goes, your energy flows. So if you take your mindset and you look at it and you say, we have differences, and versus seeing those as obstacles, try to see them as opportunities. What could you learn from them? How could their strengths complement yours? How could your partnership create something extraordinary, right? Like Walt or Roy Disney did, right? It takes all kinds to make the world go round, all kinds. Dreamers and doers, visionaries and planners, Walts and Roys. And when we embrace that truth, we stop fighting against each other and start building something together. When we do that, when we start recognizing that it takes all kinds to make this world go round, we will start embracing the truth that if we stop fighting against each other, we can start building something together. I am not saying that you should embrace hateful and mean-spirited rhetoric from somebody if that's like they're hateful and mean-spirited. I'm not saying that you see that as a strength. No, but I'm saying that every person out there, you can really, if you really take a moment, you can find a way to build a connection, and seeing those obstacles as opportunities and reframing the way in which we operate in the world, right? You get more flies with sugar than you do with vinegar. I've always said you do with shit, but regardless, I'm going to go out to the world, and I've decided to go out and I'm going to look at it through different eyes. Is that we have to be able to kind of find some common ground in this world And I am not going, the whole saying a couple years ago is when they go high, when they go low, we go high. And I spent the last 4 years, I spent the last several years, not 4 years. I'm not getting into it, but some of the things we are seeing can be a little frightening and scary. And I know that we have the ability in this world for us to walk in kindness, walk in connection, walk in problem solving, and that we can be the change that we want to see. Again, the power of one is not about the fact that I can't go out and be Walt Disney in this world with my big ideas and my big dreams, and those things go out and just change the entire world because of my ideas. But I do believe that every single day, myself and you that are watching me, every person that can hear my voice, has the ability to walk out into this world and to be a change agent to affect the changing of the world for one other human being every day. And some days, and most days, and some days you have to take care of you. Even if that ever, for a couple of days, you got to go out and change the world for yourself. That's okay. You matter too, right? Now, as we go through the Sunday sermons, I am keeping all of these. If anybody wants them, they're kind of typed up and kind of in a succinct pattern. I've been talking about for, quite a while, wanting to kind of write a book. I was an English major, not that makes you an author by any stretch of the imagination. But I believe that there are lessons to be learned through stories to be told. And I am hoping to tell mine through a cookbook where recipes are incorporated into the stories. And these stories are all kind of associated with my mission statement, which is basically sitting at the table together and sharing a meal. Maybe it's not with you and I, but it might be with your family or at any of those life special occasions. The commonality and the thing that everybody kind of comes together and can agree on is the food. And so that's the piece, that's the connection piece that I kind of bring to the table. And that's where today's sermon was kind of leading y'all to understand, is that, finding connection through sharing a meal, a coffee, a cocktail, conversation, a book, but sitting down together and finding the common ground is what we're going to have to do to continue the work that we're doing by raising the vibration. So as we end our Sunday sermon, we are going to pull our weekly crystal affirmation card. This is just a little confirmation and gives you a little message from the angels, guides, and helpers, the universe, whatever word you want to use. I've been using this deck for a while. Crystals are all over religious texts, whether you're a Christian or not. And these are, I enjoy the energy that comes along with natural things like oils and crystals. And so we have been sharing a crystal affirmation card at the end of our Sunday sermon since we've been doing it. And I honestly, just a little side note, I was doing some sessions with my Reiki healer, Carly. And so we first started doing those. She would pull a crystal energy to start my work with me, and that would be the energy I should work with all week. And at the time, I just couldn't afford the tools. Like, I couldn't afford to go out and buy a $30, amethyst, blah, 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 that was going to be helping me that week for that energy. Because there's, these are just some of the crystals. I'm sure there's more that are out there. And so I found that if you intentionality, I just bought the cards. And then if I needed the malachite, for example, I would pull the malachite card out that week and put that in my purse and carry this around because it's intentionality for the energy. So that's how these cards came to be. And I'm really connected to these cards, and I'm hoping that you get a good message out of those today. So we're going to take a deep breath. We go in through our nose, out through our mouths. So if you're watching this and you're able to do that, take a few minutes just to ground your energy. Put your feet flat on the ground if you can do that, right? If you can be barefooted and you can touch earth, that's even better. I'm barefooted right now, just touching floor. But grounding is a scientific breakthrough. It's just scientific. It's about the magnetic energy of the earth being able to center and balance out the energy within your body, to kind of like ground you to the planet and make, even out your chakras, all that kind of good stuff. So we're going to take a deep breath in. I say inhale the good shit. Exhale the bullshit. With each inhale, you're going to breathe in all the good air, the things that are cleansing, let it go into the body and pick up all the things it doesn't serve. As you exhale all the things that are no longer serving you. Kind of relax your shoulders, unclench your jaw, kind of lean in and kind of focus and see the message that you need for the week. If this resonates with you, great. If not, then don't. But it's usually a generic group reading for everyone. So we're going to do 6 because there's 6 everywhere. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3. Oh, we had a card jump on us. And it is the It is rhodonite. Find a way to forgive. So rhodonite is find a way to forgive. And I feel like that is probably going to be a really good card for us today, because I feel like a lot of us are angry right now. And the start to healing is always going to be forgiveness. Forgiveness is not for the person you are forgiving. Forgiveness is for yourself, right? Forgiveness is for you, and forgiveness is to make you not have to carry that weight around anymore. So let's read what rhodonite says about find a way to forgive. There's freedom in forgiveness. It's natural to react when others hurt or betray us, but you can't move past the first layer. Resentment, anger, disappointment, or frustration. You can free yourself from this negativity and toxicity. When you are able to forgive, you empower yourself rather than letting your emotions have power over you. Forgiving someone, however, does not mean that you consider what they have. You're like, okay, I'm condoning what you've done. It's not saying that. It simply allows you to release your time to that experience so you can move on. At its core, all forgiveness is self-serving. Interesting, right? All forgiveness is self-serving. If you are angry right now, if you are just pissed off and mad, I'm going to encourage you to do a little forgiveness exercise tonight, because that anger is hurting nothing but you. You are allowing the thing that's pissing you off to have so much power in your life. And that's why you don't see me losing my mind on social media right now. You don't see me flipping out. I had a few moments in my personal home this week where I just said all the words I had to say. It was my safe space to do that. But I said I cannot be mad anymore, because anger, things in this world, all things resonate from 2 places: love or fear. The way that you're feeling anger and bitterness and being pissed and scared, that is a fear, that is of the best. It's wrong. Release it for yourself. Find forgiveness in it. It's not condoning. It is getting rid of it. It's not allowing it to seep into you and to rot you from the inside out. This week, look around. The world takes Walt Disney's. The world needs Roy Disney's. The world kinds to make it work, right? If everything was exactly the same, there would be no excitement in it, right? Now, go out and be the change that you want to see in the world. Like we talked about with the last sermons about the ripple effects. Yes, half of us are terrified. That's what I'm saying. It's us. Look at that. See, I'm using the example, Amanda, because I know that I can. Half of us versus them. Fear versus faith, all of those things. You have to find a way through that. We. It's not us. It's not them. It's not I. It's not me. It is us. It is us. It's we. It's we. It is we. We are the people. We as a country. We as a human race. Right? And I'm going to promise you, it's not half, right? There we go. We will. There we go. We will. We're going to come together. We're going to know that it takes all kinds. We're going to sit down at tables, and we're going to break bread, and we're going to do it in a way in which we can find connections. We're going to find these obstacles, and we're going to say these are no longer obstacles. They are opportunities. They are opportunities, and they're not done yelling at the people that are never going to see what you have to say. It's not done by sharing memes and showing the world that you are the most outraged by it. I'm telling you, it's not going to, all that's going to do is going to cause more division and more fear and more scarcity and all those things. If people don't recognize that a lot of the divided we stand, divided we fall, united we stand, divided we fall. Other countries put all this stuff, fear-mongering stuff on the internet. I'm not saying that crazy shit's not happening. I am not saying that because I know that it is, but I am going to find a way to take those obstacles and make those opportunities to reach across. And I am going to do what God told me to do, which is look down and recognize that it is my job. The only thing that is expected of me is to live my life in a way that waters and gives light to the seeds that have been planted. Right? If you say we are better than that, us versus them, our side's better than your side. Well, how? You're still hating the other side and making the same memes and joking them and making fun of them and not understanding them. We are no better. We have to understand that as the same, it's just the two sides of the same coin. And then if we can learn how to communicate and to encourage and to bring together and find the commonality and find the connections, I'm going to tell you, I have made more effective changes by sitting down with someone and having a conversation and hearing what they have to say and not judging them and not putting down their beliefs than I ever did and screaming loud about how awful they are. Now, in my brain, I understand the amount of energy I'm going to exchange with somebody. I am not going to give time of day to people that are not good human people. I don't have to. I don't have to exchange internet. I'm going to go out and seek those people out. God has commanded me and commanded you and commanded all of us, the universe, whatever words you use, to live our life in a way that is pleasing, to go out and to operate in the world of a place of love and light. You cannot say that you're operating of love and light and then you're making fun of half of the country. And I get it. It's just what we're doing right now. And I'm not judging anybody. I'm not judging a soul. I am saying that if you're here and we're looking for the community, our community, our, love and light, this is where we're coming, good of all, harm to none, then we have to start finding ways to connect versus making it us versus them. And it sounds hard. And I feel like sometimes they just intentionally people try to provoke. I live in a world of people intentionally trying to provoke me. I feel like because the more like you try to be love and light, people want to take you outside of your integrity. And I've come outside of my integrity a couple of times this week, and I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm not speaking in a way in which you can hear me if I'm just telling you that what you think is wrong. I don't want to negate your fears and your things. I was like, but let's find some common grounds. We all want security for our country. We all want to be able to take care of our families and be able to afford our resources that we need, like lights and food and housing and gas. It's so much harder to be negative than it is to be positive. It really, truly is. But I think people wear that that is like a badge of honor. I'm not saying don't fight the good fight, but sometimes we can versus having to fight the good fight, we can run the good race. And that might be you're doing it, you're going along with for the journey with everybody. You're not trying to win. It's about everybody coming out in the end and all of us getting to the same thing. We want the good of all, right? I want the good of all people. And that's, again, I'm a Walt Disney, right? I'm a Walt. And this is where my Walt Disney ideas, and it takes all kinds, right? And, I love everybody. See, people hate for no reason. I love for no reason. I love each and every one of you. I need to go over a couple of things with Rhodonite. I completely got off my brain. So with the Rhodonite, it talks about, forgiveness and how it helps you. And then the core questions, which are the things that you're going to put in your journal this week, are going to be, are you holding any grudges or holding on to resentment or anger towards someone in your life? What would it feel like to forgive? And I know so many of us can probably write this and talk about this in our journal, but if you have the wherewithal to really get in your journal and get some of this out of you this week, this is a great journal prompt to kind of process through all of those big emotions around what's happening. Are you holding any grudges or holding on to resentment or anger towards someone in your life? What would it feel like to forgive? I love that. And then our crystal affirmations, which are your affirmations every week, which means you can get up in the mornings, get your shower, get ready to go and look in the mirror, or like say them in your car, or write them on your desk and have them on a wall, look at them. Affirmations are so important to me. And this week's affirmation is forgiveness starts with me. Today, choose one, yourself or another, and start moving towards forgiveness. Because so many times, the person that we're really mad about, the person we're really angry about, when we're really projecting all that, is ourselves. And I talk about that a lot too, is that, no one can make you feel any kind of way. But that's a Sunday sermon for another day. On that note, I want to thank you all for tuning in and watching today. I am going to finish up my order, get the schedule done for the week, head home and make some delicious food while we watch the Commanders. Go Commanders. Kick the Eagles' booties. We are super excited to see what happens. I'm excited for the Super Bowl, all that fun stuff. I'll be back for the is the tape. Oh, yeah, I guess the next Sunday sermon is the first one of February. It'll be February the actual 2nd. We will see you back in February. I appreciate y'all so much. And we're ending this live like we do all of the lives, with a little peace, a little love, and a little feast. As always, y'all, please stay elevated. I love you. And until next time, I'm Tammy. Have a good one.